it's been nice going around for sure.
And what an amazing opportunity that you've had to be able to go around to different classrooms.
Mm-hmm.
I know Gretchen, who does Indigenous special projects teacher too, like her sharing of Ojibwe language, that's happening a lot because we're in virtual, and like the read alouds are being spread around. So yeah, lots of things are making it happen because it's virtual. It would be kind of hard if we were only in the face, if we only thought of it in the face-to-face context. So small wins.
And different perspective from the students as well, because they've had visitors in the classroom, but having a visitor virtually is a little bit different. So I was in a kindergarten class and we were doing a penguin STEM challenge, and they were very reluctant to speak to me and open up because like they've never seen me before. So it's just a different environment. And when you're not physically there as well, but they after the first little bit, then they were all engineering and talking and sharing. So that got good. That got better as time went on, but there was still a little bit of, it's just that different environment, right? For kids when you're a visitor into the room as well.
Mm-hmm. That's good perspective to have, because, you know, if you think kids would see, are you coming into our classroom? They're all excited, and, you know, but there are ones that are quiet about that in your classroom too. It's just a different thing now. It's virtual. They're like, what is the etiquette on this, and how do we engage? And so, yeah, it's another moment to teach about too. There's probably somebody saying to them though, your mic's not on.
all the time. And there was a little girl today, and she was explaining what was happening with her zip line. And so we had said, oh, your mic's not on. And she just, oh my goodness, I've been explaining this whole time and my mic's not been on. And I had to say, like, I do it all the time.
I know the kindergarten teachers have like the red and green symbols for the microphone. So they hold them up, like, so rather than constantly yelling out, your mic's not on, they just hold it up and go green.
Yeah, I have that too for mine.
Yeah, that's good. So Tanya's going to run the slide deck for us today, but I'm Pam Gallant, one of the members of the program team. It's Nicole, who I've been chatting with, Nicole Hooper. You want to share your role in the team, Nicole?
If you don't know, I am Nicole Hooper, and I am also part of the program team, and I work halftime program. So in the mornings this year, I am teaching kindergarten, and then in the afternoons, I do this program role as Learning Commons coach. So initially I was working with Learning Commons teachers across the board. In this virtual environment, I am also helping to support to bring STEM challenges or STEAM challenges around to your classes virtually. So that's also something new added to what I'm able to do virtually.
And writer of report cards at this time.
And writer of report cards, yes.
So we understand that's taken a lot of time. And Tanya, you and I have been collaborating on this, having conversations about grade 1, 2, and 3 learning. So we've been listening to our teachers out there, but you've got that great connection with the virtual school to bring that to us. But it's so nice to see so many people from face-to-face schools joining us today too. So hi, Tanya.
Hello. Hi. So for those that didn't catch, I am new to the program team. I was a grade 2 virtual teacher before I became in the program role in December. So I'm pretty new with that, but I'm in an interesting position because I've been there before, and now I get to look at it from this perspective. So kind of an interesting role.
And you're available for classroom visits too. I know lots of our instructional coaches are going out to visit classrooms to work through those Google Meet challenges or try a number talk together, all of those things. So I know you're connected with some schools there, so they've been reaching out to you too. But we've got an hour, up to an hour. We may not take that long. We'll just see how it goes. But thank you everyone for joining us today. This is a discussion group, chat group. So if you would like to put something in the chat as a question, go right ahead and we'll address that. Or if you would like to go off mic and turn on your mic and share and ask a question, you can do that. But we'll kind of share what we've got going on today.
Awesome. So just to kind of share right in the beginning here, I've created a bit.ly for this slideshow presentation And you may want to take this information down because there are quite a few links in this week's work or slideshow presentation that are clickable. So resources that you can just click on and go to it rather than having to record all of them separately. So you may want to record this right here. And maybe Pam or Nicole want to put that in the chat box so that it's easier for them. Awesome. So next here, so this is a picture that I took a little bit ago. This is my dog Nanook, and I am so thankful for the snow. Not so much when it's on the roads, but when it's on the ground in the grass and we get to play. Because as you can see, this is a snow dog, and so she quite enjoys being able to get out in the snow. We would like to acknowledge that the land on which we are gathered is part of the traditional territory of the Chippewa, Odawa, Potawatomi, and Delaware nations. These Indigenous nations, known as the Anishinaabe and Lenape, agreed upon their ancestral languages to the mutual sharing of the land, with obligations and responsibilities to the environment. Today, these responsibilities and obligations extend to all peoples. So for this session, we are going to take a really quick dip into Aspen just to kind of show you where to get some information. Another kind of information seeking path of where you can get other information, looking back at a Seesaw activity, and then looking at some tools for literacy instruction. So before we move ahead too much, we wanted to pause and see if anyone had any questions. So feel free to write them in the chat box or come on speaker or microphone and share those questions if you want to make sure that we touch on them through the meeting. It looks like we're not yet, but we'll keep an eye on that and see if you have any questions as we progress.
We are looking for ideas for future sessions too. So I was just chatting up Nicole there. Maybe she can talk to us about the STEAM and STEM opportunities you can be thinking about with your students. So that might be something we put on, but let us know, email us so we can get some thoughts together too. So I just wanted to share that last week we had a lot of people came out to our first session about report card writing in Aspen, and we are having another session this Thursday, same time, 3:30. And it's a Zoom session, it's a webinar, so you can come and join in. We had successfully recorded it last week, and our plan is to try to record the sessions again. So if the 3:30 time slot doesn't suit your needs and your family's needs, that they will be posted as soon as they're ready. And you can find those on the blog. And the focus of each time will be revisiting lots of the skills that we developed during our progress report. So lots of things that will just tune up on those skills. There are a few new things and an opportunity to ask questions and find out where the resources are. And this week we'll be focusing more on the tools part of it, where that's where your comments are being built. So some things we're learning about managing that area, how to tidy up our libraries, because information is good, but sometimes when we have too much of it, it's a little overwhelming. So we'll look at that. So please join us if you're available, and know that the on-demand resources are available on the blog.
Thank you. And that brings us to the actual blog to show you where there are some resources here. So for those of you that have recorded that bit.ly, if you click on here, that will bring you to the blog. And there are some really great resources about the report cards. So as Pam mentioned, there are live on-demand videos here, or sorry, not live, but on-demand videos here. There's the Aspen manual, and this is where the recordings will be also for Aspen. So if you've missed one of them, you could catch it on here if you wanted. But as you can see on the side over here, there's also information about the math continua. And there's other information here as well about Indigenous learning and lots of different things. So please take a look.
If something's there, like just using, there's a search bar in the top left-hand corner, I think, within the blog, a search within the blog. And if you just type in like progress, you would go back to the progress report piece. If you wanted to know something about Indigenous storybooks, like you type that in, you'll find some links to that too.
And another great place to take a look is the LKDSB YouTube channel. And I think Nicole was going to chat about this one a little bit.
Sure. Did you want me to share my screen?
Sure.
Okay. I'm not sure many of you actually know about this, but maybe a hidden resource that may be an option for you. So I'll just wait till Tanya is done sharing.
Sorry, it's, there we go. My bar was hiding on me.
Well, I know, like,
sorry.
I kind of help.
As you guys know, you're used to Google Meet and I'm learning how to get used to Zoom. So I was used to Meet. There we go.
Yeah, as far as newness, hey, Laura, you found power. That's good. As far as Nicole's getting the screen up there, like the YouTube, which that's a tool I use a lot, but I never thought to subscribe. So I wonder, like Nicole, you'll talk to us about what you found. And oh, there we are as talking heads. Look at that.
I know, right? Like I'm like, wait, that's not my background today.
You know.
Okay. So all you do is if you're on Google even or you go into YouTube, what you're going to do is just search for LKDSB office hours, although I'm already up on it. But that's all you have to type in and it's going to find that. And you can subscribe to them. So you find the button, subscribe, and then down here on your side. So every LKDSB.
I think you missed the B there, so you're not really an LKDSB anymore.
B, hold on, you have to spell it right. Okay. Okay, there we go. And you are going to subscribe to it. So you can go here, LKDSB Zoom PD is what it's officially called. But if you do office hours, you will get to it as well. Every LKDSB employee has a YouTube account. So I'm not sure if many of you knew that. I just learned that earlier, like last year. So once you get here, you're just going to subscribe. So it's over here hiding behind my pictures of everybody. So I'm already subscribed, but you're just going to press subscribe. And then there's a little bell beside it that if you want notifications when something is posted from the LKDSB, you're going to click that little bell. From there, you can just search. I'm just going to minimize the pictures here. You can search down the playlists and see what it is. You're going to go to videos or their playlists, and they're all loaded underneath there. Okay, so once you,
this goes back in time too, right? So this goes back to the spring. Okay.
So you can see a bunch of the different resources on there. It even has, like Gretchen has resources on here as well. There's a lot of those math instruction videos that are on here. The Summer Institute sessions are on here as well. So there's a wealth of resources right within this YouTube. And over here on the side, you'll look at your subscriptions and you just have to click the subscription and then all of the information for LKDSB will come up. So this is a very handy one. You can even tag them. If you go to a video, you can like them, like save them to watch later if you're going through them and you know you want to watch them, but you want them easier to be accessible after that. You can save them to your playlist or save them to watch later. So that is just an easy way for me. Like I find it quick to go here to watch videos, and I'll often play them and put my earbud in and cook supper and just catch up on some things that I missed. So.
Awesome. Thank you, Nicole. Awesome. And then we're going to move into, so we looked at YouTube, and there is also are also many resources on the portal that you could take a look at as well. And you would, the link is right here to go into that on the portal. And there's lots of information for math, and you could also access the memos on this page as well, which I've only recently really realized that. And there's often some important information that can be accessed in those memos.
And that 2020-2021 program notes right in the middle, that's kind of like the subject time guidelines, any quick links to about report card, like what's supposed to go on a report card, that sort of piece. So yeah, the key resources are there. The blog is more kind of like our professional learning and, learning from each other kind of moments, whereas the program on the portal tends to be those more official documents kind of piece. So,
and if you go down a little bit as well, that's how you access Destiny remotely from home. If you're at home and you're looking for some books because you know you're going to go in to grab a couple, you can just click that Destiny link there, and you can search your own school's inventory right from there from home, because Destiny can be accessed remotely anywhere and on any device as well. So that's an option for searching Destiny.
did not know.
Awesome. Lots of new learning today. I like it. Thank you. So one question that's come up quite a bit is, where can we access reading materials for students now that we are virtual? So we wanted to kind of open this up for a conversation for a moment. If anyone has found any places that they've found reading materials for their students.
So we ask you to put that in the chat, and then Tanya is going to type it on the screen for all to see. So,
Right. So we have kind of a moment of sharing here.
So in French, we have Jolie.
It would help if that font was not black, wouldn't it? Hard to read there. Awesome. And then how was that spelled in French?
So capital J-E, yeah, je, and then Li, L-I. So like I read, that would be translated in, right?
Mhm.
And then we have epic on here. Well, sorry, take out the read, but it's je lis, L-I-S.
Okay.
Translating.
Sorry. Like that?
L-I-S. Yeah.
L-I-S. Sorry. There we go.
Someone's mentioning Pearson there. I wonder, Pearson Literacy Portal. Okay. I wonder if Pearson and Pearson Literacy Portal are the same. I don't know.
Nelson reading materials.
Awesome. So we are going to take a look at some of these in more detail. We got a feel last week that there were quite a few who were using Epic or were interested in Epic. So we are going to take a deeper look into that one in particular, because we know that RazKids is a paid subscription, and so not everyone might have access to that option. Awesome, thank you. So here is a list of some of those places that you could take a look at. And again, if you have that bit.ly, you can access this at a later time. So Epic is one that we were going to focus on, that it is a really great free reading resource. You can use it for doing read alouds, for modeled, shared, guided, independent reading. And you can also use it to conduct a running record.
Yeah, so that's we're in the time of assessment. So that is one place where teachers often at this time do a DRA or a running record assessment to kind of like see if there's been growth in the learning, gather some, what can I share in a report card, comment about what's a strength for a student, or maybe I want to mix up my reading groups, that sort of thing. So it's helpful for us to do those reading assessments. And in the classroom, we would be able to observe and have conversations and pull the products like from students, the book themselves, and have kids read. So it is a slight shift for when we go to the virtual environment. So I grounded kind of my thinking about this going back to that document, the Guide to Effective Instruction in Reading. And it is, if you have the bit.ly, if you link on that, it will launch you right to that document. And I was having a conversation with some people this morning and saying we've learned so much about the math continuum, about how how students add, subtract, multiply, and divide, and how those skills develop and build upon it. There's been that much, probably way more research about reading and the continuum there. So this document helps us with that continuum of reading, talks about great strategies for all the different ways we engage students with reading, like read alouds and independent reading and guided and shared reading. So it's a great resource. So when I clicked in there, there was a section there about the running records and how we might use that. So one of the things we think about in the virtual world is like my DRA helped me along quite a bit because I had access to questions and all of those things. So how might I do this in the virtual world? And really the questions we ask in a DRA are the same ones we can ask in a running record piece. And like looking at the oral reading, if we have a chance to listen to some students, what might be some of the things we want our primary students to be doing? So there's a list there. And I'm going to put I've made this into a Word document too. I think it's later on in the PowerPoint. So you'll see there's a link to the PowerPoint. So you get if you want a copy of this, you can have it. And then like, what's the conversation points to that? So if we're focusing on retelling, what are some of those things we might be thinking as we listen to a child retell the story for us? And the Guide to Effective Instruction can help us with that. So if that's where I'm grounding my thinking, I want to do a running record, I can go to that document, review that. And then in Epic, how might I use Epic to get the text? Because that might be the hard part for me, is if I want to do a running record on 2 or 3 kids, because they're a mystery to me, how do I use Epic for that? So Tanya, are you going live to Epic, or are you showing, you lost?
I am. I'm going to go. Yeah, sorry, I think internet went a little goofy for a moment. So I'm just trying to get into Epic and it's being slow. So I'm going to go back to the slideshow while I'm waiting.
Yeah, I have it up too if you need me to.
You?
Yeah.
Okay, so Nicole, do you maybe want to share that? Because my internet is not as cooperative at the moment, which I'm sure you guys have all been fighting through as well, working from home.
Yeah. So if Epic is a place where you go that is easy for you to access books for your students, now thinking of it from the assessment lens, how might I use this to get access to a book? And you don't have to read the whole book, but just part of the book with the student to get a running record. So Nicole and Tanya, you can talk each other through how to find the reading levels. Like, so say if you want to do a running record on a student based on a Fountains Pinnell DRA level or are
you able to see my screen okay?
Yeah, I see penguins there.
You have penguins on our kindergarten brain right now. So, okay, Tanya, do you want to speak and I can show, or what would you like?
Sure. So to find the reading level, it's kind of right over underneath of where that books is. So thank you, Nicole. So right there, you can click on what reading level you would like the students to be at. So you've probably previously done DRA levels before, and so you could select it. So let's select that 8 to 14 range right now. And what's going to happen is it's going to populate the list, kind of like bookshelves. So all of them at one level are going to be kind of as a bookshelf, and you'll scroll kind of horizontally for that.
So even if you go to home, I had a specific search in, which is why it was bringing up penguins.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So if you go to home.
So yeah, if you go back to home. You could also just click, if you hover over where it says home, there's often a pop-up. There you are. Oh, you have Pete the cat in there.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
There we go. If we hover over it, often will, oh, sorry, if you hover over where it says explore, there'll be like a drop-down menu that comes down for that DRA level. So you can select there the DRA level that you would like. So if you click on DRA, which is over kind of on that left-hand side, and then you can explore by reading level. So yours is selected for kinder because that's kind of the world that you're living in right now. But you can select different reading levels in there. And so if you scroll down to say 8 to 14,
For the grade or by
Oh,
DRA?
yours
So I have
is
to
set
select
for-
DRA here. Hold on, I have to
So
select by
DRA,
DRA
yeah.
right there. Yep.
Yep.
Okay, and then I can change those search parameters to 8 to 14.
Right.
So whatever DRA you want to search for.
Awesome. And
So
as
those
you
are your
scroll
8
down, you can
ones.
see that all the 8s are kind of aligned horizontally. And then if you scroll down, you'll see the DRA level 10, and that's kind of all organized horizontally. And so when the nice thing with these is even if they have those ones that we can see in that section that was just above, I think it was the 10 that say read to me, you can just turn off the reading part of that, and you can still scroll through the book and have the student read that book, or you could read that book as a read aloud if you wanted to. So don't let the read to me option kind of scare you. You can still turn that option off. So kind of over on that left side, we can see that there is that button to have it read to you, or the volume. You can turn those off.
With the page over here too, you can toggle on or off button as well and turn your own pages. So it won't be timed out according to how long it takes them to read that page. And you just share your screen like this with them.
There, and it makes it reading the book really friendly because they can see both sides of the book. And because sometimes what if we try to share a book from YouTube, you can't really see those picture cues in the book, or you can't really hear what's going on or see all of the details or the words. And so this is a really friendly option to be able to read with students.
Excellent.
Awesome. And so we were going to talk also
found,
go ahead.
Like just to add to that as well, not necessarily the DRA level, but just to encourage some visitors into your classroom. Maybe you've had, like your kids are used to seeing your school secretary, your administrator come in down to the classes and not your resource teacher. And an opportunity to encourage them to come into the classrooms as well is you can share a book on Epic and they could be part of your class and still read to the children, but you could just share your screen so they can see it and the kids can see it, but it's still coming from your visitor as well.
Awesome. And Laura, do you maybe want to speak on having another visitor, a mystery visitor, and having them read?
Yeah, so mystery guests have been a regular part of our grade 1 room, and I would love to think that I had more criteria, but really just anyone who is willing to volunteer and come in and read a story. So we had my mom join us, and then she's a music teacher,
wow.
so she was able to play some instruments, which was fun. We've had my husband joined us, who's an OPP officer, so we got that kind of community connection. We're still hoping that he'll be able to join while he's at work one day and kind of show us his cruiser and all that kind of going on. But we just had just friends that I know that are involved in different areas of the community come in and read a story. And then there's a little intro. What is your job? What is your responsibility? Anything like that that can connect. And then the students get a really good Q&A session where they practice asking all the wonderings they have of this new guest to our classroom, which is always their favorite. And I think Miss Gretchen is their favorite. She's a superstar in our class, so they guess Miss Gretchen every time, but they absolutely adore her. But it's a really fun way just to kind of mix up what is happening in the virtual world. I think can get a little monotonous just staring at a screen all day. So if we can mix that up as much as we can and engage in a different way. Another thing we've also done in grade 1 is some of the grade 1 teachers have flip-flopped to read stories to the other classes so that they can get to know the other staff that work at our school, just like they would if they were out on duty or if they were doing recess and lunch, which has been a really nice community builder.
I know, and this year we really engaged in things like study buddies or reading buddies because of the year it's been. but there are some times where kids have those connections from the previous years too. Like, so having like a teacher you work with all the time, okay, can you come over and read a story with my kids? That's a nice moment to have together.
And for us, working out of the virtual school, it was handy in case of any reorgs that are happening. They're already then familiar with other staff that are there, which was a nice bonus, kind of eased some of that stress for the young ones.
Good.
Awesome. And so the other really kind of cool thing with Epic as well is that you can set up your classroom and have the student give students a login information so they can access the books as well. So they could access these at home and still have a library to read from, because I know that that's been a kind of a concern. And you as a teacher can go back and kind of see what they've been reading and how long they've been reading. Because since they can't be taking books home, it could be a little bit difficult and monotonous to read the same books that might be at home all the time. Awesome. So I think, Nicole, we'll flip back over to the slideshow. And
do we want to show just those added features that Epic offers as well?
Sure.
Just as that the other selling point to it, because it is a good resource if you're looking for any text to reach out to those children. Oftentimes we'll look up some videos. I know we were doing Penguin, so looking them up online, but just to keep in mind that Epic does have a wealth of resources as well for videos. So we were doing Penguins. You click on to videos and it's going to give you a range of nonfiction videos. It will also give you some videos that teach you how to draw a penguin or whatnot, penguin dance songs. So if you look down here, those are some of the type of things. They have National Geographic stuff, the penguin dance songs. So there's all this that you don't just have to pull online, but like it's all in one source right here that you could just assign to that student as well. It has the little heart. You can go there and press assign, and you can actually assign it to your students in your classroom. There's how to draw a cartoon penguin. And then also it has the audiobooks too. So that's a great resource for the Read to Me as well, for an option for students. So just wanted to mention that as well while we're on this page.
Awesome, thank you. And so I'm going to go back and share.
Yeah, so really Epic has been that resource. We could use it as the modeled reading, and we can use it as the shared reading, guided reading, and independent reading. And like if we think about that assessment stance we have, we can pull it out and use that for our running record piece. It's knowing that we've got levels that will be appropriate for students. So I think Tanya and Laura were talking about, well, how might you go about doing this? And so like you can, the guide has some running record sheets, but you may find that you just want to share, like screen capture, share to your iPad and write over top of it. Tanya, is that what you were doing? Like using one of those apps?
Yeah, exactly. So I would download like this running record recording sheet. And I really liked using OneNote. So I had that kind of set up. It was like my binder. So I would go into my reading binder, and then each student had a tab. And so I would have the running record sheet ready to go on my iPad. And then I would share the story with the student, and then I would record. And the Guide to Effective Instruction has these symbols that are really similar to what we used in the DRAs, how you could record that just kind of freehand. So it's kind of the free version.
You don't need the actual text. Like you can just do check, 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 and then said the wrong word, write the wrong word. Like you don't need to have the actual text there. Some people like that, but a running record can just be check marks too.
Exactly, yes. I know some people would prefer to just print the pages, but I'm really trying to be tree conscious and use my iPad more for these types of things. And so these documents are in the Guide to Effective Instruction, and it's linked here. So if you were to click on here from the bit.ly, it will bring you to that document. And it's in section 12.42. I sent you to this section because there's a lot of really good information in there, where I know some of us might be feeling a little uncomfortable not having a DRA book to go exactly from. This kind of really nicely lays out how to do a running record without those DRA resources that we've been used to.
And it's probably like focus on the kids that are mysteries to you. Like, I want to know something. So if you can have a moment with this couple of students to have that running record moment, be reflective then, say, what did you find out from that oral reading list? Did you find out, you know, kids had lots of pauses, or they used to read with lots of pauses and now they're like starting to be more fluid? Did they have errors, but they were showing evidence of some of those word attack skills that we're using, chunking words up? And the retelling is like, they give me all kinds of facts, but they don't really know what the big idea is, or, wow, they're pretty succinct now. They've got it narrowed down. So you may think about that as what you found out is like, I can use that as my strengths to share on a report card, and also to include what's the next step for that. So if you noticed a student that is really starting to find vocabulary in the text and share that back, that might, as a retelling, that's a strength to that. So you can actually put that language right in your comment. So again, that's the link there. If you click on that, I put those in a Word document just so you have those questions, because we don't always have those things now that we're at home.
And if I can just add in there as well, if you're using Epic, and thank you, Pam and Tanya, because these running records will be really valuable just to pull off. And the beauty with a running record is it can go with any text at all. So you could have Epic up, you could bring up the reading level that you are anticipating a child to be at their level that you're reading them at, and you could give them that choice and ownership over the book that they would like to read to make it more meaningful to them, and still use your running record because it can go with any book. So I like that as well.
Absolutely. Chance to build a relationship. It's like, well, tell me why you chose that book, and, you know, just have that small conversation. As far as some people like the checklist for assessments, yes and no, like those reflective questions. This is from the guide too. It's a sample rubric. It says grade 1 there, but I'm looking at this from a junior teacher's perspective. And I think a lot of those big ideas, like under the reasoning, communication, organization piece, you know, still hold true. So be thinking that might be a way, if you choose to assess that way, that might be something that you want to look at again. So,
awesome. And a thought that I just had about when you're doing those running records, you'll notice that my cursor is a different kind of color and shape. That might be something you want to consider, is downloading that or uploading that extension. And just kind of helps the students to really see kind of what you're indicating on the sheet as you are sharing your screen when you use that Google tab.
Yeah. We do have a question there about, does our board have access to digital versions of the DRA? Thank you for posing that question, because we probably should have said that, like, why aren't we showing your DRA resources? The DRA resources, like, if we're going to be careful about copyright about anything, it would be the DRA resources. So just like be mindful of that. And it's not available in the DRA. There's no digital version for the DRA that we have here. So that's where we are right now, is working on that. So thanks for posing the question.
Awesome. And we did talk about this, how you can choose a book from Epic and have guest readers. And so Laura had mentioned this new resource of Pearson Literacy. And so I'm just going to kind of go live to that one. So that is this link right here. If you click on that, it will bring you to some other guided reading books. So the Pearson Literacy portal. So you would just click on, this one goes by the guided reading level. So if I click on E here, it's bringing me 10 books that are at this level. So if I click down here, open a book, and it's very similar to Epic, where it opens up nice and wide. You can see all of the words on there really easily. So you could share this with a student. You could continue to do those running records on here, and that would be an option as well.
Questions, is it free and is it available in French? Laura found this for us today, so we are in the Explorer mode. So please explore and find out.
Free. I haven't run into any roadblocks yet where I've needed a login, but this came up because people were asking about, well, we don't have access to Raz Kids, what do we use? So it looks free. For French, I have no idea because fromage is the extent of my French. So I don't know if it is French,
We'll double it next week.
Explore. Yeah.
Cheese and bread. Yeah, well, I know Julie, can someone speak to that, about what Julie does for us?
Can we pull that up to look at online?
Sure, I'm just gonna. Do you want to grab that one ready?
I'll just search it right now. I have never heard of the Pearson one either. That's new to me, so.
Can I call upon you, Beth, to share a little bit about what you know about Julie?
Sure. Julie is a program that I can set up for my class. I'm assuming program bought it because
probably
last year, and I just kind of put my code and I went, oh, I can put another class in. So I have my kids all set up. There's different reading levels starting at, I think, Magenta A, and that's kind of like a DRA or GB Plus level A, and it has stories that are read out loud to them. And then I have my kids, they read a page, or they have the page read to them, they listen to it, they repeat it out loud, and then they read it, they can read it to themselves again. So I haven't actually done a DRA group with this, just because they have that button that things can be played out loud to them. And I'm just picturing me doing a DRA, or not DRA, but a little reading group, and they're just, everyone's hitting play at the same time.
Yeah.
So if I could take away the play button while I'm doing this with them, they could. But there's books from level A all the way up to the end of like grade 6.
Oh, amazing.
So now the higher you go up, the less books there are. I think if I get the grade 6 level, there might be 6 or 7 or 8, but the other ones are they're low. And I can't put my kids at a certain level, I don't think, but I just tell them, you need to start at level A, red A, or you need to start at jaune B, because they're all, you can kind of see where they all are level wise.
So is this the one?
Yeah,
okay,
that's it.
So I saw it at the top, there was the login information, and you had that login information from last year, you said?
So I go under my teacher login, and then and my students can go in under their own login, and they can read their books, and I can see which books they've read, but there's no other feedback besides that. Like there's nothing like on Raz Kids, they could answer questions. This one I can just see if they finish listening to it. If they hit the play button enough and they finish a story, it looks like they've read it, which they haven't, but some have.
So it's a resource, but there needs to be some instructions about how to use the resource to support the learning with students. So
yeah. So I could pull one up. I could pull one up for my kids and then not hit the play button and then just share my screen, and then we could go through it in guided reading. But otherwise, all my kids have their own little accounts.
If you're interested in that, I'm just putting Angela Cote's name in the chat. So if you're a French immersion teacher or a French core teacher looking for resources, she'll be able to help you out with all of that. Thank you so much, Beth. We really appreciate it.
I also posted that link in the chat to the Julie.
Thank you.
That's good. Anybody know the answer to this question? Is EPIC use at home limited, like in the evenings? So
I believe it's just 9 to 4.
Okay.
I think, but that's been an issue with a lot of my families, having to make sure they squeeze it in during the school day.
Okay.
Because it kind of disappears at night. They could sign up and get so many books for free, but that was something they didn't need another account for another thing.
Right. Exactly. Well, that's good to know when we start spreading that out, just to say this is a resource for using the day,
They can, on your account, you can say that you would like, I forget exactly what it's called. It's some sort of after hours extended thing that you just click on your account, and then your students will be able to access it. But I think they can only read for the entire week after a certain time and between a certain time for maybe, I don't know, if it's 5 hours or 2 hours or something that they can only read to a maximum of. So they can read at night. It's just very limited, and they don't have access to all of the resources. the resources have been limited as well during that time period.
Yes, my son was very upset that he had books that he had listed that he wanted to read at another time. And then when he went to read them after hours, they weren't accessible. So the beautiful thing now is that they might have more time during the day to read them.
Yeah.
So that could be an option.
Well, thank you so much for all your ideas and sharing there, but epic. It's nice to see a resource that we've used before, but see it in a new light. Like how might we leverage something that's a favorite to use it as assessment or getting, you know, guest readers in our classroom. Enjoy that.
That is definitely helps to get buy-in with the students, I think, when it's something they've already been familiar with and then it's a new way to look at it. So we also wanted to connect a little bit to last week, we talked about how you could have students do a scavenger hunt, for example, looking at simple machines and tools that they could use within Seesaw to explain their thinking to you. So this was could be an assessment piece, this activity, having them do this with those Seesaw tools and possibly also accompanied with a conversation. But then we also wanted to connect that because we know that report cards is on everyone's mind to a sample report card comment that you might be able to generate based off of this type of assessment. Pam, do you want to speak on this a little more?
Yes, but I'm not the only assessment authority. All of you out there are great at assessing as well too, but just want to ground people in, even though we are learning in a different environment, what we're being asked to put on the report card is still the same. And even though we're using a different platform like Aspen, what we put in our comments will still be the same. So focusing on sharing our voice and our own professional judgment. What is the key thing we want to share about what students have learned, and describe a significant strength that shows evidence of that, and identify next steps for improvement. And I've color coded those to go along there. And when we did the report cards with communication and learning with kindergartens, we did a lot about like that asset stance kind of piece. And as a junior teacher, I was often looking at next steps for improvement as being a place where like, you don't do this very well, and I'm going to tell your family that that's what you don't do well, and we're going to work on that. And it's kind of moved my thinking a little bit, working with those kindergarten communication and learning reports. It's like, what's next steps for the learning? So rather than improvement. So thinking about those next steps, you might want to think, as we explore other science topics, Tanya will be supported with planning and designing investigations. So, you know, she might have all kinds of science activities and understandings going on, but her next step is we need to like, okay, let's get a plan and let's execute the plan kind of piece. So what's next in their learning in that kind of stance. But be thinking as you're putting your comments together is that we have that 3-part comment piece. And within Aspen, we are counting characters. So how many characters are used for a subject, which is different than the TWIA, which counted by lines. So I would go in there, if I was putting my science comment in, I might throw in one kid's comment and just check and see, you know, how much space did I use? Do I have any wiggle room? That sort of piece, just before you move forward.
Awesome. And just a couple kind of last moment thoughts. This came up, virtual field trip opportunity. And so I just wanted to make everyone aware, you can click on this link and it will take you to the St. Clair Conservation. They have some virtual field trip options and some live streaming options for your grade ranges. And
Tanya,
this could be paid for out of.
Is anybody else's screen frozen? I'm still on sample report card comment.
I am as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so gotta love when the internet cooperates with you. It doesn't cooperate. Let's try again here.
Yeah.
Can you see that now, the virtual field trip?
It's still coming. I'll give you a thumbs up when it's there.
Still going?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a link that is on this page. So if you have the bit.ly, you would be able to click on that. And this funds, there are, you would have to pay for the program, but that could come out of outdoor ed money. Awesome. And we're finally working. Excellent. Let's see.
And Melissa Levi is very quick to getting back to you as well. So I have booked mine, but she's booking now into March as well. So just a heads up on that. They're phenomenal programs.
Yeah. So that was the St. Clair Conservation Area. I don't know the conservation area names down in the Chatham area. Or they probably have similar type things going on. So if you're from that area, there are great resources to reach out.
But the beautiful thing for this is if you're planning on trying a virtual one, it can be accessed anywhere.
Yes, that's true.
Nice. The last kind of piece that we wanted to talk about was managing Seesaw for students who might have limited engagement. Laura, I think first you had mentioned about how using folders is really useful to you. Do you want to maybe speak to that?
Yep. So in order to kind of organize everything for myself and my students, we use folders for everything. So based off of what subject it would be, it gets that assignment or activity gets assigned to the folder, and then they can really easily search by folder in Seesaw to find if if we're going back to reference an activity, they can click on the writing folder or the math folder and those will come up. But then we were kind of talking about the issue that comes up with students where if they've had to take a bit of a step back from their participation with the Seesaw activities, or if they have recently begun to increase their participation, all of those extra activities that sit there. I know my list right now is about 400 activities since September. So that's a little overwhelming. Mm-hmm. If you're walking in and seeing, I have 400 activities I need to complete. So you had mentioned the archive option as a way to kind of combat that. Mm-hmm. Which I don't use. So, and now I'm like, this is great. I am going to go on and do this tonight.
So let's, so Tanya, you were saying this was also with your own child who is engaged and he was having difficulty with managing things that hadn't been done.
Yes, and so to do this, you would click on this activities where you have all of your activities listed, and this is just a test class that I've created. You would click on those three dots, and at the top it says archive activity. And so this will remove the activity list. So if I click on here and I will click on archive, it is gone from the list. I have multiples of these because I was explaining how to do this from someone. And then if I go over to archived, it will show me my list of all of my activities that have been archived. So you as a teacher still have access to see who responded and how they responded to this. But it's not a huge list from the active in that assigned to class, that assigned section. If they have it and they've started working on it in that draft form, it will stay in that draft folder, but you can just have a conversation with them that if it's been there for a while, they can send it to you and then it will be done. And so when we go back here, I kind of have a slide about how to do that. Right. So from the activities, archive activity, and you can still access seeing that.
And I'm sure lots of people are seeing that, like, they went from using Seesaw a couple of times during the day to share activities to now it's the platform we're in. So you might have 10 posts a day and the student has, if they miss, don't engage with the class for 2 days or so, they could have 20 or 30 things just sitting there waiting, and that's overwhelming. And what's the expectation for them to go back and complete it? That's something you as an educator will set those parameters. But knowing that you can use folders to organize, archive things, and that calendar, switching from using the running record to going to the calendar view. It's like, we did something on Thursday last week, go back and find that activity through the calendar view is nice as well.
Yeah, just as an extra option to be able to kind of refine your looking at information. If you know that you always did something on Mondays, that you could go back to that specific date and see who completed that activity and what happened on those days, what was sent in.
Okay. There's the calendar there. And
Awesome.
it was just a little behind you. So we're seeing that calendar. So that is the journal, and right where that add green button is, just around there, you're in that calendar view now for the week of January rather than the running records of flow. So helping narrow things down.
I also like this view too, because you don't have to go through the whole journal or through all of your assignments list. You can just click and you know you posted it on that day, and just everything you posted on that day is available. It's a handy feature too.
Yeah, amazing. Well, there we go. We're almost at our hour, and we shared some ideas. And thank you for, was it Beth? Yes, Beth had shared her perspective on the reading piece. We love when people can bring that. And Laura, I think you're gonna have lots of people following you to Pearson this week, checking that out. I'll be there.
Was there questions from anybody at all about anything? And also, sorry, I don't want to put you on the spot or anything. So if you don't want to speak, that's fine. But I wanted to speak at all to having a STEM challenge in your class, just so people can hear kind of what that's like, if you even think it's valuable. If you want to speak to that.
It definitely was, and I'm sorry I haven't emailed you back yet. That's because we're still working on sending you something. Anyway, so it was really good, and I thought it just made me think more about less screen time for the kids, right? Because so many things are on the screen. But it was great having Nicole, and we did the read aloud that she sent me first for 3 Billy Goats Gruff, and then we also I had the kids design the setting for the bridge building and everything first. But you know, it even got into conversations. One boy told me how basically that they don't recycle, and I'm really into recycling as well. So that was kind of got into another conversation, you know, just encouraging him to take that lead with his family. And then Nicole, there's a boy that doesn't come online a lot, but his mom, I mean, grandma was a teacher, and you know, who a lot of you probably know, and he does amazing things. So then when I saw his on the weekend, he built it with Lego, and you know, they just really did a great job, and all kinds of ranges and thinking, and some with parent help and some not. So I would definitely do that again. So thank you very much. Any specific questions? Sorry, I'm kind of rambling, but.
I have a question for you. Like, was it an opportunity for you to like just sit back and observe what your kids were doing too through this? Or was it all talk and ask questions of them?
I would say it was more all talk and ask questions. Like,
they had lots to say.
Not all, but I mean, for me too, to be thinking like what, you know, I wanted to ask them, and Nicole's ideas too for taking them to the next level and everything like that too. So, I mean, I found the time went by quickly, and they were very engaged, and, you know, they really were happy. I mean, yes, of course, some observation, but just kind of like thinking on the next step, like the learning extensions and things, right?
Oh, great.
Yeah, so it was a great opportunity. So thanks again.
Get in their thought process too, right? As they're engineering, and okay, where are you at with that? And tell me what you're doing. How are you doing that? How might you improve it? Or just getting in their head in terms of what they're actually doing. And if they changed something, why did you change that? So there was lots of dialogue there about that, and lots of learning happening, and you can kind of get in their heads and see them working. And it's neat because they keep all their cameras on, and they can just unmute and talk, but see each other as well if they want to.
Yeah, for sure. And then, well, I'll give away our secret, but you know, we have a little writing activity that we did yesterday as a follow-up that Nicole will see too, you know, so, right. So just try to cover cross-curricular with it as well.
Well, thanks so much. It looks like it's dinner time around my house. So we all ready to end our day. Thank you so much for your time and sharing. And Tanya, Nicole, and Laura, nice working with you again today to put some of these ideas that have come forth from others, to put them out in our hour session today. Rod, are you there? Do we get a good recording? I'm always hoping. he's probably putting everybody else's recordings in. We're all running at the same time, so we all want Rod.
Probably.
Does it make you worry when you haven't heard from him? Like, Rod? Is it good?
Nah. I was thinking today, I was running, like, we were chatting and I had to go do something else and then get myself pulled together. And I was thinking, Rod, you probably understand this is a measurement of how far we've come in Zoom, because there he is there. Well, the first time we did it, we were like clamped down like an hour ahead of time. Like, what are we doing? Waiting, hands sweating. And now we're down to like 4 minutes.
Well, I don't know if you remember this, but there was a time about 2 years ago where less than 2 years ago, where I asked people to put their voice, just record your voice on a computer. And it was, people were really wary about it, but it's like, it's a growth experience, right? And this whole, like, I look at what people are doing in their online classrooms is it's extraordinary compared to what was happening last March, where people were trying to survive this synchronous thing. And part of the reason people are surviving is because they're talking to one another and they're sharing strategies and ideas.
Yeah, we're very fortunate that we have a platform and that we can share ideas and people come to it, and we have other ways to share it after the fact too. So
Yeah,
thanks for helping us dream, Rod.
it's all really good.
So is it good, Rod?
Yeah, it's good. I think this recording's awesome.
Awesome,
Hey,
awesome.
before you go, Nicole, I want to ask you about the baseballs on the shelf behind you. Is there anything significant written on any of them?
I don't know. Do you want me to go get them? I
I'm
can get information.
I'm just curious. I've grown up with the Tigers for my whole life, and sometimes I see baseballs and I'm wondering, who do they got as a special signature on there? Maybe next
Well,
time.
we used to have season tickets and would go to the Tigers games.
Oh my. Back in the olden days when we went across the border.
Yeah, I know. It seems so foreign.
Yeah, like I don't even, some of them, this is Whitaker.
Lou Whitaker. Oh,
That's a big deal.
that's cool.
Yep.
Is that right?
I can't see.
Is that the right? Look at it.
Looks like a D.
Doesn't look like Lou Whitbone.
But
Whitman.
does the,
Dan Whitman?
I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Whitman. Doesn't quite look like it. Like the end could be Whitaker, but it's definitely not Lou on the front.
No.
Dean Whit. Okay, that's cool.
Okay, and then there's no, I don't know exactly where they all come from. Is that awful? But yeah. The other two, like the kids we do the family Sunday runs.
Oh,
And so the
run
kids
bases?
baseball from those two, yeah, run the bases. So we got a couple from there.
Very cool. Oh, nice to know.
I don't know who that one is though.
Shawnee or Sean? I never know how to say your name. She's asking about math report card comments. We will not be sharing any like standard comments like to share, that sort of thing. It's just when you're writing your math comments, you have a lot of professional judgment that goes into that box. So thinking about what the learning has been in your classroom since September, you'll be able to just, again, what Grind Success says, share what's been learned, talk about some strengths that the students have had and what's next for them in the learning. And it does add on there though about the growth in learning. So if you've been using, say, like the continuum, I was like, oh, maybe that's where you could see that growth piece. So say if someone was using a specific strategy in adding, like they were always using, counting on, and then they learned how to use a higher level strategies, like say splitting, you may talk about those strategies there, about how that's been a growth in them. Or maybe at the start of the year, if you did patterning and they weren't using skip counting, they didn't comprehend that skip counting by 5s and 10s, but then now that you did some work in number talks, you may have seen that they're getting to a decade number and skip counting by 10s from there. Then you could say that might be a nice growth and learning comment. But you'll have a lot of professional judgment opportunities when you write your comments. And there is no numeric number assigned to how many strands you must report on, just so that will be what you decide is what made up the math mark for your class.
Okay, that's great because I'm looking at the space and wondering how it would all fit in. So it's more telling the big ideas, right?
Yeah. So Shawnee, is it Sean or Shawnee?
It's just Sean with a silent E.
Silent. Okay. I'm Pamela Ann with the silent E at the end, like Ann.
There you totally get that, right?
I do.
My mother she was way ahead of her time with a unisex name, but
there you go. So I'm going to float this out to you. So when you do your report cards, would you do like I put in my number sense mark and then I apply my number sense comment, and I do that for everybody.
mm-hmm.
And then I would do like my measurement mark and then give everybody my measurement mark.
Yeah, that's how I would do it.
Yeah. So I had a brainwave today. I'm like, because now that it's one mark for math and we're supposed to be looking holistically, I'm wondering if I would look at it, go, tonight I'm going to do Nicole's report cards, Laura's report card, and Tanya's report cards, and Rod's report card. And I'm going to look at Nicole and go, for Nicole, what do I think about, like, what am I going to give her for number sense, measurement, and data management? Say if those were my strands. Like, she might be getting like, a B-ish in number sense, but an A in measurement and an A in data management. So that if I put all those comments together and think about her collectively, then it might make more sense for my overall mark. What am I going to assign for that? And then
I totally get that. So what I've done is I've taken the mark and I've made my own chart for my class list, and I put all the math strands that I've taught so far and put their overall mark in there so that I can kind of see visually when you're going to tell the story, because
so I think
it's just, I don't want to have to do it twice.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to wrap my head around writing it and getting that overall view of where they are in terms of mathematically as a student, right?
Because where we are now, I probably still would write like a math comment for number sense, and I might level it, like what's my A comment, my B comment, C comment, D comment, and I would do the same for measurement and data management, like where I am now in the math curriculum. But then I would go like, so Nicole's going to get an ABC, Tanya's going to get a BBB, Laura's going to get an AAA across those three strands, and then then I could pluck and pull and go, but you know what, Tanya, I think actually I want to bump her up a little bit. If I think about assigning the marks all together and the comments all together, that might help me have that more thinking about the students' math holistically. So anyway.
Yes, because I think it was disjointed before, and they were separate, but in a way it's good because everything relates and spirals back and forth. It's just, we're not used to writing them. And it's it's a mindset.
But you do have a lot of skills already, and it's the same skills, like tell the story, what has been learned, what's success with student, and maybe you're only doing one next step. Because if I can't reason improve myself out of a paper bag in patterning, I probably can't reason improve in geometry. So that might be my next step, is that we're focusing on reason improving.
Right. And for grade 1, so many of them can articulate so well because of all the experience with number talks, but it's getting them to put it on paper. That is what, as a next step for basically all of them, right? They can tell you, they can articulate. If I say, well, how did you know that? Or what's the number sentence? But to put it, to then to go to their desk and have to put it on paper, they're not there yet. But mentally, they're great mathematicians. So they just can't get it onto the paper.
Right. And if we write that with that asset lens, we say like they're a great verbal communicator about mathematical thinking. Our next step will be to work on how they represent that using models or whiteboards, like be very specific about that. So where they go next.
Yeah. Right. And I think that everybody's mark is going to sound a lot more positive. And I think that's what I'm going to take away from doing this. I've done everything but my math because I wanted to make sure that I understood what the expectations were going to be. My biggest fear is being able to fit it. And then going to the number of characters. I've kind of looked at it and I think you're going to get about 12 lines. I'm still thinking about lines from Trillium. And I'm thinking that's not a lot. That is not a lot. That's like the size of the health and phys ed section.
I know. And I tell you, we've been bumping and trying to squeeze up those lines, all like the number of characters as much as we can. yeah, it's been a real, I learned a lot about font. Let's just say that in the last little while.
I know, and I appreciated that from last week about font. And mind you, I think I'm losing my eyesight because now I'm wearing glasses and I'm sitting right in front of the computer and I'm like, I can hardly see. But so my screen is probably at 130% all the time, even with glasses on. But yeah, that's my biggest fear, is to be able to tell it well in 12 lines.
Yeah.
But it's okay then when I'm hearing you say that I don't have to worry about, even if I've covered 4 strands, if I need to explain it better, I can maybe only talk about 3.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Okay. So I'm got professional judgment. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's nobody checking you checking and going like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. What's going on here? No, it's what you've put for that student. It's up to your judgment. So
thank you. That has been very helpful.
Okay. Well, thank you for letting me practice the message.
Yes, and I am going to relay this to my little cohort team too, because we've all been talking about how we've all left math to the end.
Yeah.
Right. So I will definitely share what you just said, and I think that we will all go, okay.
There you go. That's good. Hi, Jen.
I'll see you guys on Thursday.
Yeah, see ya. Hi, Jen Holmes.
Yeah, bye-bye.
She won't go off mic. She won't say hi to me. Anyway, thanks, Raj. Thanks, Tanya.